Now, I didn't invite these people here, but it is a business and we are open. So I have no control over how many people travel to come here on a given business day. Um, we did our best to deal with the situation, but it was pretty scary. I thought I was going to get a $100,000 fine.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Caledon, Ontario. And before I get to our story today, folks, if you can, please go to journalistdefensefund.com. If you're able to, make a donation. Sometimes we need security. Sometimes we have to pay lawyers' fees. Anyways, we need your support if we are to bring you the other side of the story. And what a story today. I am at Albion Farms, and I'm with the owner of this wonderful apple farm, Scott Luna. And Scott, we're now into the harvest season. We've had some beautiful weather. On Sunday, you opened up your store, your orchards, to sell apples. And then you had an unexpected visit by the Ontario Provincial Police. What happened?
I don't know if the police were called here or driving by, but they witnessed a large gathering of people. And I was informed that under the new provincial mandates handed down by our provincial government, due to the COVID situation, that there was only a maximum number of people that are permitted to gather in a social setting. And we had far exceeded that amount. Now, I didn't invite these people here, but it is a business and we are open. So I have no control over how many people travel to come here on a given business day. We did our best to deal with the situation, but it was pretty scary. I thought I was going to get a $100,000 fine.
Oh, jeez. Now, I'm a little confused. They use the language a social setting, a social gathering, but this is indeed a business. These people here, they weren't your friends and relatives here for a party. They were customers to buy apples. And what would you say the number was at the peak of that day?
Well, it's tough to say, David. We don't actually, count the numbers of visitors. That would be difficult, just given the way the farm is laid out. But there was a few hundred people here. Maximum, I'd say 200 people. Of course, the majority of them are spaced out. In the parking lot area, there's going to be people a little more close together just because that's where they're parking their vehicles and getting in and out of their vehicles.
But that's the thing, Scott. I'm unclear right now too, because I thought those new regulations with those new harsh penalties, up to 6 figures even, were for social gatherings, house parties, outdoor get-togethers. I thought there was an exemption for businesses. I mean, there must be, because we go back to the Walmart and Costco examples. So maybe is this a matter of the cops not knowing the law, that they just saw a large gathering in the outdoor area and they just assumed there was something wrong, and they actually don't know the nitty-gritty fine print details of the law?
It appeared he let me know he was a little unsure. He was unsure. He was on his phone and he was trying to reach his sergeant to get a little more direction and some answers, and also ask for the sergeant to get on the scene as soon as possible. But yeah, what scared me was that he mentioned to me that he asked me, "Did you know that if this was a corporation, you'd be on the line on the hook for a $100,000 fine?"
Would that be devastating to you, Scott?
Yeah, I said, officer, I'm really sorry to have to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you truthfully, this is a corporation. I incorporated years ago on the advice of people who told me to do that to protect myself in terms of liability and insurance. So a lot of small businesses do that. They incorporate because of liability issues. So,
well, Scott, the other thing too is that, I mean, it's harvest time. You put a lot of blood, sweat, and toil into growing your crops. Now's the time to sell those crops. And I mean, you told me off camera as well that it's been a dry, hot summer, which is not good for apples. Also, with the CERB payments, you're having a hard time getting physical labor because there's a contingency of people, they'd rather just sit around getting those CERB checks rather than to do hard labor. And here it is, you're just trying to make a buck. You're an honest man, an honest farmer, and to have law enforcement roll in like this, I mean, I think this is egregious.
Yeah, it's a little disheartening, you know. It's a little disappointing. Yeah, to be honest, I decided years ago to be a farmer. I thought it would keep me out of trouble. I'm not trying to be sneaky. I'm not trying to get away with anything. I'm not trying to screw people over. I'm not trying to bilk people out of their money. All I've tried to do for 26 years, David, is grow some food and offer it to people for sale. It's up to them whether they want to buy the food or not. But definitely, yeah, when the government started paying people to stay home and not work, it made it impossible for farmers like me to get any help.
Even that incredible vintage tractor, I don't know, might be almost 100 years old. It's immobile. It's simply a prop now. But even that tractor drew the ire of the police. What happened there, Scott?
He indicated while he was on the scene that he had witnessed a child either touch the tractor or play on the tractor or sit on the tractor, which is fine. That's what it's there for. But the problem was that I did not have a staff member there immediately sanitizing all the surfaces of the tractor in order to ensure that if somebody else touched it, they would not be infected with a virus.
It's interesting because it seems that these days with the pandemic, the state is forcing you to be a babysitter. It's forcing you to take on the roles of law enforcement. You're becoming the nanny state, even though you're just a farmer and a businessman. I guess, Scott, the only thing I can think of, if push comes to shove, if the police come back and there's more than 25 people, which I'm sure there will be, hey, how about this? Just say that this is a Black Lives Matter protest. That seems to work when it comes to avoiding penalties for some reason.
I never thought of that. That's what we should do, is make more signage and placards and get everybody making a lot of noise. And then, yeah, it wouldn't look like we're just regular families enjoying a sunny Sunday afternoon in the country.
Yeah, you're even allowed to vandalize statues when that happens. So you've got immunity, my friend. Well, I hope it doesn't come to that, Scott. God knows it's hard enough making a buck as a farmer as it is. You don't need the state coming down on you like this. So with this weekend coming up, good luck, and let's hope that cooler and saner heads prevail.
Thanks very much, David. I appreciate that.
And folks, I'm with Don Singh. He lives in the area. He witnessed firsthand what happened with the farm here. And Don, you drove in. You just wanted to purchase some apples. You saw a police presence. You must have thought there was a drive-by shooting or something. You probably didn't realize for some reason it's illegal to sell apples in certain quantities of people, I suppose, in Ontario these days. What did you see that day, and what went down?
Well, I came here with my family to Albion Orchards, and we noticed that the owner, he was in distress, and he was asking everyone if we were going to pick apples today. We weren't allowed to pick apples because the OPP were going to give him a $100,000 ticket. And you could see that he was in distress, and we felt his pain, and we started to talk to him, and we supported his business by waiting in line with our masks on just so that we could get some apple pies. And we also made some videos, and we wanted to show the public that this is what's happening. Now, this is an apple orchard, and you can pick your own apples here. This is an outdoor grocery store. Yeah. And it is harvest season. It's the end of the season, and this is where you sell all your produce.
Yeah, and I'm looking around, 50 acres of apple trees, Christmas trees, pumpkins, squash, other crops. We're in the great outdoors. I'll tell you, Don, I feel a heck of a lot safer here, and I think this is certainly a safer environment if we're talking in terms of a disease context or a virus context than being crammed into an indoor big box store.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you're going to a Walmart or a Costco, that's all closed off. So whatever pathogens are there from people breathing, there's no sunlight coming in, no UV light or wind blowing the pathogens. And we're in the great outdoors. And Canada, as far as I recall from our national anthem, is
True North, strong and free, right?
true north, strong and free.
Maybe not so much these days, though, eh?
No, not so much. And there's another line in our Canadian national anthem. It's God keep our land glorious and free. And nowadays, I don't feel like we're free. There's so many restrictions, and some of these restrictions don't make any logical sense whatsoever.
If indeed the OPP are interpreting the law that Scott is on the hook as an organizer for a fine of $10,000 all the way up to $100,000, then technically that means people showing up here in greater numbers than 25. You'd be on the hook for an $880 ticket. Is that going to scare you away, or are you going to continue coming to Albion Orchards and supporting this business?
Well, David, I would support the local business. I don't break the law. I sometimes bend the rules. I occasionally get a speeding ticket here or there, and I would take it to court, talk to the JP, explain my situation, and hopefully get off. But we don't want to waste the time of the courts. We don't want to waste the resources of the police force. We want to support local businesses. We want to have the ability to go to this essential service and get food for your family. And I think that these laws don't make any sense, these temporary measures, and these are infringing on our human rights and the Charter of Freedoms.
I think you're right. And folks, I certainly don't want to live in a Canada where it is illegal to come to an apple orchard and pick some apples or buy an apple pie. And I can tell you, if Scott is indeed fined in the days ahead, I think we have just found our latest Fight the Fines case. Well, folks, I'm here at the Caledon, Ontario Provincial Police Detachment, and we went in a little earlier. We tried to get somebody on camera, but the media officer was not here, so there was no one able to go on camera. But I did speak to an officer, and she told me what Scott should be doing is reaching out to Caledon Public Health and finding out what indeed the numbers are, because she was unclear too. Certainly when it comes to a farm of 50 acres, you would think that there's more leeway for more people. It is a registered business. It's not a social gathering situation. So maybe that's what Scott the farmer has to do, get guidance from public health and find out, hey, am I breaking the law or not? And if I am, what do I have to do differently? Me personally, a 50-acre farm, a couple of hundred people, compared to a big box store with even more people in it than that farm. I don't understand what the health risk is. I don't know why you have to sanitize a 100-year-old tractor that's a prop. I don't understand why you have to paint lines in an asphalt parking lot. But Scott will be open again for business this weekend, and we'll have to see if the police are going to drop by. That was another thing, by the way, folks. It was uncertain if that was a police officer who was just passing by and saw the gathering, or if I guess a wild Karen filed a formal complaint. So I hope that Scott opens up. There's no issues. There's no trouble. This individual has been through enough. The guy just wants to sell his apples. Let him sell those apples. I don't see any health reason whatsoever to shut down this farmer. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, if you can, please go to journalistdefensefund.com. Make a donation. We depend on your donations to fund lawyers' fees, bodyguard fees, in order that we may bring you the other side of the story.